Hi there friends and welcome back to my tutorial gameplay series for Rimworld. I'm Icon and we are at episode 10 today. So we had this terrible betrayal in the last episode of our dear refugee friends. Sadly, I wasn't able to keep any of those two alive, so we're now just taking care of what's left of them. So for today, I felt like it's time to caravaneer some and introduce the trading system, and I'm also going to talk about how to put up a more permanent solution for bodies and other things in your base, which you might want to get rid of. So for that purpose, we're going to put up some more limestone walls, and yeah, like that. And we're going to do this like that. In case you were wondering, last episode, I used this hold open thingy here, so every door can be held open indefinitely. Sometimes this can be really useful. For example, when Hubbard tried to flee in the last episode, I wanted to make sure that he doesn't bang down the door, because enemies can't open your doors. That's something only friendlies can do. Therefore, we want to make sure that they don't destroy my door, my base. It's been worse enough that they took down my electric tailor bench. So, to go trading, we're going to wait until the next day. And, well, visitor events are, by the way, only usable in any way if you want to attack them. Otherwise, this is a very, well, dull event which does not have any real impact. Just a couple of people passing through your area. You can't just ignore them, or if you are evil, you can't assault them. So, over here in this room, we're going to build up some power conduits. And then we're going to bring up the crematorium. I'll build one out of marble because I got a lot of marble available. And as you see here, the crematorium will need steel and components on top of the stone. So right now I can't build here because these stones aren't mined away. Usually I'm running mods which allow me to just place that on top of that, but well, it's a really interesting experience for me to check out again what's vanilla and what's not. So I'm really appreciating this. So since my sheep are right now both pregnant, I think there's a very, very high chance that we will get at least one male specimen. So with the next day, we're going to form a caravan. My goal for that caravan is to trade at a neighboring town some better weapons or other supplies which I actually need, because right now I have 942 silver in my inventory and can't really use much of that. So we finally researched machining. Machining unlocked the machining table, which we will eventually need once we are at the microelectronics tech. I'm going to research microelectronics now on the side, and I'm not going to talk too much about that in between the time until it is researched. Then we're going to dedicate possibly a better part of an entire episode for that. So now the new day is dawning and we might be just at the right moment to put up the caravan. So you go over to the world menu, and here you see your own settlement, and when you click that you see a form caravan button. So one thing about caravaneering, your people can get lost while they're traveling, so it's quite dangerous to go traveling, and you should always be prepared to do so. So wait a sec, I'm going to do this correctly now. So first we press the form caravan button, and now the game prompts you to select where the caravan should go. So I'm right clicking now on the other town of the purple faction there. These guys are friendly to us, and we're accepting that. Down here you see the total travel time of that route, 0.6 days. Next screen, we get to select who's going to go on that caravan. Since Bubbles is my social person, she can't be left out. And I'm going to bring Pi on top of that, because I feel like we should send somebody to defend Bubbles on the road. Because while you're caravaneering, you can get attacked. And it's really important to have ways and means to fight off attackers. The amount of attackers scales up with the wealth of your caravan, so the more worth your caravan has, the more people you should bring to defend. But as a general rule of thumb, most of the time 2 people are enough. Only if you have really massive caravans, you should start stacking that up. So I'm now also packing up one of those sheep to sell that too. And over here we have now people and animals. Let's get over to the items. This is all the inventory in your base, which is lying on storage zones and available to your colonists in general. Here you get everything listed which is not forbidden, basically. So we have to pack up the silver. With this button we just pick this up. Over here you see how much your caravan can carry. So I'm picking up the silver, and I also feel like selling away a couple of these leather stuffs. I'm not going to sell away plain leather. I'm not going to sell away light leather. I'm also not going to, well, I'm going to sell bird skin away. Because light leather is something we will accumulate anyways, and plain leather, I want to use that later down the road. So these items will be packed onto the caravan, and now let's go to the travel supplies. Automatically, there's a check mark here on this, which automatically selects travel supplies. If you disable that, you're free to select the stuff for your caravan on your own. As you see here, we have automatically packed up 1.9 days of food, so that's all we'll need. You can just select here more items, and you see accordingly to that the game calculates for how long that food will last. Always automatically brought into your caravan is some medicine too. I can only recommend that because if you get attacked and if you need to be patched up on the road, this is really good. And on top of that, sometimes when people catch a flu on the road, medicines like these make it easier to survive that. So we packed up everything we wanted. We check out the travel time is 0.5 days. We have 1.9 days of food. You have to double this amount of time, of course, because you have to travel back, but no problem. Over here, I want to talk about these numbers here for a moment. So this is the nutrition eaten per day. This depicts how much food you will need. And this is the amount of nutrition foraged per day. This is directly linked to the colonist's plant skill. So basically your people try to collect food on the road to not use their permanent stack. That's what you see here with the forage per day stat. Over here you see the carrying capacity the person or animal contributes to the caravan, and that's the value of the person. Here's the gear. Pretty much goes without saying. Okay, I think that's all we need for now, and let's send them away. And now our people will start gathering these items and try to start the caravan. And we had a fault in an electrical conduit has caused a short circuit. This event empties your batteries and starts a fire or something like that somewhere along your power conduits. Pretty nasty stuff, especially when you are living in areas which are really relying on power. And as you see here now, Pi and Bubbles are now walking to the end of the map, and as soon as Pi and Bubbles are there, they leave the map. Now they have now they turned into that yellow dot on the map. Here you can always put them to rest or split the caravan. Also, when you have the caravan selected and you right click anywhere, here, fast visit salvation, you can also change the course of the caravan. As you see here, the estimated time to destination changes. We want to trade with Expansius. The only difference here between visit and trade is when you select that one, the trade window automatically prompts up once the caravan hits town. So, here we go. There's not much more happening there. They will just walk there. And as you see, every grid here has a movement difficulty. And the caravan automatically looks for the easiest to cross, the pathway which is the easiest to cross. Because as you see here, roads actually have a lower movement difficulty. So roads are really good to have in your vicinity for that, in that regard. Poor old Emmanuel is all alone here, and this might be frightening you a little bit. To me, it was frightening back when I started out with the game. But there's one thing really worth mentioning at this point. Whenever you get attacked, the storyteller checks what is on the map right now, how many people are on the map right now. So basically, when we would get attacked right now, the only thing that would happen would be a raid which is fit to one person. So if you ever get afraid of sending away too many people and then getting attacked with a too large force, it won't happen. The game is smart enough to avoid that and only send you challenges which you should be able to tackle. I say should because, you know, sometimes the storyteller seems to be a tad bit drunk. So, but beyond that, what I really want to put down as bottom line here, don't be too afraid to send away people. Don't carry only 3. Don't be too afraid to send away people to a caravan, even if you're only having one person back at home. Ideally, if you leave one person back at home, have some defenses like I do here. Well, it's not really good. If we had that complex down here completed already, it would be brilliant. And, well, it should be always somebody back at home who's able to fight. Basically, if you keep your best fighter back at home alone, you should be well off most of the day. Okay, so now we have the expensius of the area. Well, the first thing is the name of the town, and the second one is the faction name. So this works just as we had it before. Here's our money, here's the settlement's money, here's the goods the settlement has. Oh, wait a sec. Here's the amount of goods the settlement has, for example 40 medicine, and here's the amount of goods we have. This is the amount of money they want per item, and this is the amount of money they would give you per item. This is a pretty big difference. As you see here, they will only pay 11 bucks and they want 24 bucks. So selling stuff is always less efficient than, you know. So we're going to sell away our leathers. As you see here, this yields us 100 bucks. As a matter of fact, I personally would always recommend you to produce clothing or anything else out of these leathers before you sell them. But, well, what can I say? I'm kind of broke. So now when we scroll down here, there's all manner of different things. We see here a couple of colonists, which would be cool, but we don't have the necessary money. We see a couple of animals. We could now buy ourselves some chicken, which would be really, really cool. Oh, well, maybe it does just so not come together. If it would sell away all my food, I would have enough, but I don't want to. So here we have a couple of animals. There comes food. Here's a couple of new things we haven't talked about yet. Nutramines are basically a precursor item for medicines and drugs. Then we have advanced components. We use them for several more high-tech things. Right now, we don't need them. You can stockpile them, though. They are quite valuable to have because you need a lot of them later down the road. Here's a couple of materials. Drugs, mortar shells, more building materials, reinforced barrels. They are necessary to build mortars with the 1.3 version at least. A couple of organs, a bionic eye. This inventory here is absolutely random. But what I was looking for is the weapons section here. As we see here, they would be selling another bolt action rifle, revolvers, also pretty science fiction-like plasma swords. If you want to check out how good or bad a weapon is, you should always check out the information tab. Here you see how much damage the weapon does per shot, how much, well, the stopping power is quite, well, how long the person stands still if it gets hit by a bullet, if it's getting hit by a bullet. But the most important things are damage, armor penetration, range. Bolt action rifle has a pretty high range. And to some degree, you should always take into account the accuracies. I think that goes without saying. And last but not least, the warm-up and the ranged cooldown. These have to be added together. It's oh, wait a sec. No, it's only ranged cooldown. So it takes 1.5 seconds to shoot with that weapon. As you see here, other weapons like the revolver only have a cooldown of... Oh no, warm-up counts in. Warm-up counts in. So 1.6 seconds, and yeah. So warm up and ranged cooldown have to be counted together. So it's a little bit misleading here, but I know that you can fire a revolver way more often than a rifle, and the revolver's ranged cooldown is even higher than the one of a rifle. No, it's warm up and this together bringing somewhat of the attack speed of the weapon. So really good weapons in general are all manner of rifles with higher ranges. And, well, I did an entire video about guns and their qualities. It's really difficult to pinpoint that easy down, but I personally would say never go past an assault rifle if it passes your way. It's the best all-around weapon in the game. Charge rifles are really good against robots, but not so good against people because they have a relatively low range and the damage is not that high, but they are really good if you don't have anything else. Every automatic weapon, be that the infamous minigun with 25 shots per burst, or a relatively simple SMG or something like that, automatic weapons that have more than 3 shots are only really good when used against larger amounts of enemies. If you only have 1 or 2 enemies, single shot weapons or low burst shot weapons are better. But if you're up against armies, it's always good to have people with automatic weapons on top of that. With the melee weapons, the thing is a little bit differently. You see there's the melee damage per second, but what's really important to notice here is the damage. You deal 9 damage with the handle and 15 damage with the edge. It's always random which sector of the weapon will hit, but 15 damage per blow is really enough to deal a tremendous amount of damage. And if you check out the spear, here you see it's even more if you manage to get out a stab. If you want to evaluate your melee weapons, always check out how much damage a single attack can do and how much armor penetration it has. Also, you see the armor penetration is different for every type of attack. This game is very complex and very, very, very thorough when it comes down to damage numbers and stuff like that. But I made the experience that it really is helpful to check out how much damage these items do per attack, and the more damage they do per attack, the better. The material of weapons with melee weapons also is important, but well, that would lead too far. For now, well, I sadly can't afford any of these weapons. I would love to get that charge rifle, but I don't want to right now. So what we're going to do instead, I'm going to sell all these things. I'm going to visit or trade with Salvation right after that, because I wasn't too happy with the items I found there. I'm just going to get over to the other town. Down here, when you click the settlements, you can also display what items they will buy. In case you are not sure if your rat is being bought or not, you can always check out these lists to see what kind of wares the factions are interested in. Sadly, it's very bulky, and I'm quite disappointed that with version 1.3 there's search bars literally everywhere, but not here. I wish that could be fixed in the future. That would be really cool, because you have to look these things up manually. I was so looking forward to search bars here, but it just didn't come together. Okay. But this is really helpful nevertheless. What also is quite helpful about this screen, when you click it, you also see when the next restock will happen. So this town will now have this inventory for 30 days, and then they will have a new inventory. If you check out a town which you have never visited, here you go, stock unknown. That's what's happening there. So basically, it's worth to check out your neighbors every now and then to find out if they have something new in stock for you. So, just wanted to talk about a couple of things considering weapons here. The gun technologies are quite simple. Gunsmithing yields the most primitive of weapons. We have the bolt-action rifle and the revolver already on us. The blowback operation gives you access to more modern pistols. I personally prefer the revolver over the auto pistol nevertheless, because the auto pistol has a little bit more range and accuracy. Well, the revolver's accuracy is really bad, but the revolver has way more damage per shot. 12. And yeah, It's a matter of taste. After the blowback operation come the gun turrets, and the gas operation technology gives you access to automatic weapons. I just wanted to talk a moment about these automatic weapons a little bit more. Here, the heavy SMG comes with 3 shots and the damage of 12. This is the staple brand automatic weapon if you want to have no real... If you want to have an automatic weapon without having an automatic weapon which is only good against large amounts of enemies, the heavy SMG is your friend. If you check out the LMG, has 6 shots per burst, but there's a very low accuracy, very low the 3.6 seconds per shot burst, and if you check this out here, the heavy SMG fires way more often. So the LMG is the first weapon which has such a high spread that it really works out only well against large amounts of enemies. Here we have the assault rifle, my personal favorite weapon. Only 11 damage per shot, but the accuracies are very good, the range is very good, and it shoots every 2.7 seconds, making it the king of the hill when it comes down to the best average weapon. Okay, enough about that. I just felt like it was quite good to talk about this topic for once. Keep in mind that all these statements from my side are not the exact statements. Rimworld has this wonderful thing for it going that there's always a different approach ideal considering your circumstances. So, if you are facing this, then this weapon is good. If you're facing that, the other weapon is good. So you always have to adapt to your situation somewhat. And I talk about this so much because I want to... Oh, let's build that limestone. I can't. I want to give you an idea that you should always try to optimize your builds and your situations by yourself. Check out what you think is good for the situation, experiment around, because there's nothing you can learn as much about the game as when you're experimenting around and trying out new stuff and checking out if it works for you or not. And we get ambushed. Wonderful. Actually bad, but it's good for the sake of the tutorial. So as you see here, we're being attacked, and our caravan, there's Bubbles and Pie. Sadly, Bubbles is a non-violent person, so we're going to use her as a decoy. I already introduced this strategy in another episode, but I'm going to do this one more time. We're going to burden that person now with Bubbles, and Bubbles will now run really close to Olga to make sure that Bubbles is the most interesting target. This is such a foolproof and mean way to kill enemies, I can't put it into words. The burden spell was only the icing on the cake. If you don't own Royalty DLC, don't you worry, the strategy works equally well. Only keep in mind, if you are working with friendly fire enabled, never get your people in the line of sight of your marksman. So, once you're done with the assault, you can check out that cute mini-map, because you are sitting on a very, very small tile just generated for you. If you are desperately in need of resources, you might just undraft your colonists after winning that fight and send them to harvest stuff. This works really good, and sometimes I was even that lucky that I even spawned really rare materials in these mountains, and it's always worth checking out if there's something you might want to have. If your caravan is starving, the food can go in quite handy, and so on and so forth. Right now, we're not needing anything. Well, right now I do need something, I just realized. Pie, please be so kind. We are not yet having that much food, so we're just going to harvest these berry bushes. And to make things really sure, I love to put down stockpile zones below these. So now you see it's getting displayed here, just for me to make sure that the automatic caravan system is really picking up those berries. I'm a mistrustful person, you know. As you see here, we have now more supplies on our caravan due to that. You can also loot the stuff from your enemy. Just keep in mind, when people die in their clothing, it's considered tainted. And weapons, well, which were worn by enemies, are worth a lot less than normal items. Weapons in general have a pretty hard debuff on their value. This has been made so to make sure that the raiders don't spawn endless amounts of money into your colony, to avoid that this stuff is just generating wealth for you. So now let's get back to the other place there. So they want to sell me more people again. Oh, rideable animals. Huh. Cool stuff. Back on the last day when I played this game, I had to install a mod for that. So obviously with that icon, things can be used as a mount now. That's new to me as well. But what I really wanted to acquire were weapons. Well, I wasn't lucky again, but the pump shotgun is another type of weapon which I really, really love to pick up. Out of a simple reason, shotguns are low range, high damage weapons, and that's where they excel at. See here, 18 damage per shot, but only 16 range, a relatively low cooldown, and a pretty nasty accuracy on short ranges. Shotguns are so good against everything melee that's trying to get too close into your face, and that's what I like them so much for. Okay, we didn't sadly acquire any of the so much desired assault rifles, but I'm not unhappy about the shotgun either, so we're going to send our people back home. Now you saw everything necessary to know about caravaneering, and I feel like it's a quite simple solution to trade, but you know, there's a lot of things that can go wrong during caravaneering. To avoid anything going wrong during caravaneering, always make sure that you have enough people on the caravan, make sure that they have medicines, make sure that there's a doctor among them, and also make sure that you are able to fight off enemies, because otherwise you will be in a world of trouble because of this. Because of the fact that if all people get downed in a caravan, so people go unconscious during a combat, you instantly lose them forever. So you have to be really careful about these things. So let's hope I just got not only female sheep. Yes, we have a male sheep too. Okay. The rescue of Smelly. Okay, so we have a quest which leads us to a incapacitated refugee. I'm going to use that in the next episode to show you how questing in this game works, because you know, this game can also do quests for you. But since we are pretty much at the end of today's episode, I want to delay that topic a tad bit. Instead, I want to work on that crematorium, because crematoriums are really awesome structures to get your waste management under control. So, a wild man wanders in. Okay, fits. Reminds me about one of my favorite novels. If anybody knows who Fitz is and why he belongs into a book, certainly knows why I love those books so much. But I'm rambling. A wild man wanders in event is when a person is wandering into your map, which is just, well, this person is considered an animal for game terms, but as a matter of fact, you can tame that person and get him into the colony. Keep in mind, though, that the handling skill to tame wild men is 7, so right now I don't think I have any handlers capable of doing this for me. And since Tom died, I also don't have any animal to train handling with. But luckily, shearing sheep is also training your handling skills, so... Hey, and there's a slaver. So you might notice one thing. I got a quest to rescue somebody. Both settlements sold people to me. Then there's a slaver migrating to my map. This all happens because I'm already a little bit later into the game, 30 days in, and we're still suffering from only 3 colonists. The storytellers always try to nudge your development towards 12 colonists, and then it pretty much stops. The vanilla game considers 12 colonists as a full colony, basically, as a rule of thumb, of course. So, we have the crematorium up and running. Here we can cremate corpses, burn clothing, burn weapons, and burn drugs. So, what I personally like to do is cremate corpse, and I'm going to show you my personal favorite bill assortment. So I do 2 of those, and I set them both on forever. So first we cremate here human-like corpses, but I disable colonist corpses because I personally love to bury my own. So you might want to cremate them. I don't. Here, this setting makes your configures your crematorium to burn away all the raiders. Be their corpses rotten or fresh, every stranger human corpse is now open for disposal. Okay. The other one is something I really like to use for animals. So we're going to checkmark all animals, but I'll disable the fresh ones. This way, whenever something in my possession, some carcass from the hunting or something like that, rots away, this bill will get rid of that as well. This is my favorite corpse bill setup. It's very simple, it's very effective. It's taking care of your raiders and your rotting animals. One more thing I like to do is I'm going to go for a clothing burn thing, and here you're going to disable clean apparel. So when you do that, you only burn all this tainted stuff. Tainted clothing is giving your people mood debuffs. It's hard to sell, and well, raiders wear it all the time, and sometimes it just happens to clog your inventories. Pretty nifty thing to make sure that also these tainted clothes get burned. Okay, so I think that was enough for one episode. I thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you now know a little bit better what to do with the caravaneering system. And feel free to ask away, because this is by far one of the most complex areas of the game, which really annoyed me to no end just at times. So if there's any problem, just ask away. Also, drop a thumbs up on that video if you liked it. This helps a ton to make this video series more available for other people. And of course, check out my channel if you haven't done so already. I do daily content, so you might want to just subscribe and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any future content from my side. Also, in the description down there, you'll find my Twitch channel where I do daily streams, so maybe you want to check that out too. And last but not least, I'd be super happy if you would check out the support links down there, be that Patreon or whatever scratches your itch. I'd be really delighted if you check those out. Thank you so much for watching, and see you guys next time. Goodbye.